Hello and welcome to Psychic Development and Channeling Class 2 with Liah Howard. Thank you so much for being here. So today we're going to be talking about how to connect with your guide and your higher self. We're going to be discussing how to get a sign from your guide and your higher self. Before we begin, I'd like you to just close your eyes for just a minute and go inside your heart and ask your divine higher self, that really large invisible part of your being, what is the goal for this class? What is your goal for this class? And just allow one word to emerge. Do you get it? Okay. All right. So I know we got lots of different words that everybody that's here today is here for a different reason. And I'm hoping that by the end of this class, when you leave here, you'll be able to go and sit in meditation and ask your guide or your higher self for direct contact, and that you will be able to feel their presence in your life, and that will be a helpful guiding force for you. Today we're going to be covering preparing your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions for this psychic work. We're also going to be talking about preparing your space, that whenever you do psychic space, you want to do it from a place of sacredness. There is some suggested reading. We'll be going over the reading list today. We'll be doing a guided meditation, and that part you just get to relax and enjoy. We'll also be reviewing the class and preparing for our next class. So with each class, and this is for the whole 20 series, with each class, if you could just eat lightly before the class and drink plenty of water, that prepares your body so that you're nice and open and sort of like tuning the antenna of your system to receive information. It's really good to wear comfortable clothing that breathes. Cotton is good. Loose waistband that you can breathe a nice full breath in, so that when you're doing psychic work and receiving messages and meditating, you feel very comfortable. I'd like you for every class to have a journal or a pad of paper and pen handy, so that you can write down messages that you receive from your guides, from your higher self, or if you have questions that you would like to ask me, and you may not want to ask them in the webinar, if you want to ask them between webinars, I will then address those questions in the next webinar. So keep that pen and paper handy and bring it to each class, and then during the week you can also write down messages that you receive from guidance and meditation, or throughout the week. So I would like you to consider getting one special item that you have that you would like to meditate with. The reason for this is the energy will build up, and when you hold that item, it will remind you this is your special time to go within. So things that students have used in the past, a special stone or crystal, a special shawl that they put over their shoulders, or a scarf, a special little amulet of some kind, any special little object that feels that it carries the vibration that when you hold it, you feel more peaceful and centered. And then what will happen, again, the energy will build up in that, and it'll be easier to go into what I call the altered trance state. And please remember during this class to turn off your phone, that this is your special time to go within, to connect inside. And so let go of those external kinds of disturbances. So for many years I've taught these classes, and what I find is that people have different levels of comfort with what channeling is, what psychic work is. You may be here just so that you can use intuition throughout the day, and you don't really have a goal to work with other people. You may not really want to be specifically channeling, rather just tuning into your intuition and psychic development. So keeping that in mind, there's lots of ways that we can open. And some people prefer only to channel their higher self. That's what I consider to be that larger invisible part of yourself that's always there, always loving you, always guiding you, and always directing you and caring for you. I like to think of it as, if you think of the whole body as your whole self, that your personality self's just like a teeny tiny little fingernail, very small. Your personality self, your emotions, your body, your whole story of your entire life is really just tiny. And there's this larger, invisible guiding part of you that loves you and wants the best for you. And that's the part that we're going to start listening to more and more and more. So there's also spirit guides. There's many different spirit guides, and Whether you believe in them or not, that's okay. I believe that they're there and that each person has a number of guides. Some people have a council of 3, 4, 5, 12, 15. They come from many different dimensions, but they bring a vibration of love. I work with a council of 5 guides from different areas and aspects and dimensions, and they blend their energy in one voice. And so sometimes if people have a whole council, they start with one guide first. I would like to encourage you to work with one main guide, spirit guide first, and then branch out from there as you adjust and adapt to their energy. You will then be able to, your frequency will get higher and higher, and you'll be able to bring more and more energy in. Although, again, some people do channel a whole council all at once, and that's fine. God, some people have a charge when you say God, but God is whatever that is for you. If you're more comfortable using the word God and getting more in touch with your God self, then that's the word that's right for you, and that's the essence that you want to open to. This is about trusting and feeling comfortable and relaxing. So you want to find out what words and concepts work for you to be able to open the very most to receive this intuitive knowing. Universal life force, that's kind of a newer term that people use to describe the invisible force in life that's leading us and that we're sort of in this large flow and moving through us. So universal life force is another form. Ascended masters, there's so many ascended masters, master teachers. It's nice if you have some little statues or pictures of ascended masters that you want to put onto an altar and feel their vibration and their love, that you're not on this path alone, that there's a lot of other beings that have wanted to connect. And wouldn't it be interesting to think after this lifetime, maybe you could even be a guide on the other side and help people here. So that's what they're here for, to help us who are still sort of stuck in this third dimensional reality. I like to think of it kind of as their perspective's more like the hawk, looking above the earth and soaring and traveling and seeing all the little pathways, whereas the mouse, the poor little mouse, gets stuck in his little, tight world. And that's kind of in a way how we get sometimes. We get stuck in our own little worlds and we don't see the way out, but the hawk can see it because it's looking from a higher perspective. Loved ones who have passed to the other side, that's going to be a specific class later on in this series about being a medium. But in the meantime, each of us do have many, many loved ones. Some of us have more than others on the other side who really care about us, who still have that connection of love to us. And whether you channel them specifically or they're just sort of a guiding force, I'd like you now just to take a minute. Maybe there's somebody you really are missing that's on the other side, and just to invite them into the room with you, to call their essence forth, to ask for their help in connecting to your divine higher self. That my belief, and can't really say if it's true or not because I'm not dead yet, is that we do reconnect with our loved ones, and that we do go into a more positive place when we pass over from this dimension. So you get to call on them. Our guardian angels. Our guardian angels. Our guardian angels, from what I've learned about guardian angels, is that they stay with us through many lifetimes, that they are here as a protector, as a guidance system, as a friend who's always there, who's always got time to listen, who's always got time to hear your prayers, who's always got time to help bring to you the allies and the assistance that you need on your path, the insight. So open to your guardian angel. The picture down at the bottom, I love that picture of the guardian angel holding. She's praying, she's holding the light in her heart, and that guardian angel is just sort of surrounding. So if you can just imagine for a minute, there might be an issue or a problem that you're having in your life, and just holding that in your heart, you're holding it up to your angel, and you're saying, can you please help me with this? And your angel's right there putting light and love all around it all the time. Then there's the regular angels. Not that they're regular, because how could an angelic being be regular? Because their vibration is love. But the angels, there's so many different decks about angels and all the angels and archangels. And you can, Doreen Virtue has a tremendous amount of wealth of information about that. And I want to refer you to her website to get more specific information about angels, and each of them sort of with certain jobs. Like, on this earth, we have the plumbers, we have the TV repairmen, we have the counselors and the teachers. Well, the angels all have different jobs too that they help us with. So, for example, Archangel Gabriel will help us with communication. So we're calling on him today to be here with us. Archangel Raphael is wonderful with healing. So we call on Raphael when we want healing. So there's many, many different angels, and that's sort of your homework, is to find out which angel does what. And perhaps there's an angel, a specific angel that's working with you right now. It could be a special channeling angel. And power animals, one of my power animals is the owl. And recently I saw a white owl when I was pumping gas at a gas station at night. It was really splendid. And that represents my channeling teacher, Anne, who's on the other side. She often will send an owl. We don't have that many owls here in Kihei, Maui. But that one did come the night before the webinar. So I took that as a really good sign. And perhaps there's certain power animals that you have that represent qualities that you're developing in yourself. When I think of the owl, I think of wisdom. So to strengthen your connection to your guides, it's sort of like any relationship. It takes time. And this is to your higher self if that word guide doesn't work for you. But when you're in a relationship, let's say you're in a marriage or you have children or your work environment, it takes a certain amount of regular time to get quality time. So what I'd like for you to do is take time each day to connect with your higher self, your guides and your angels. And that will mean setting aside some time to actually meditate, to pray, to journal, to go within. You can invite your guides to go with you to the store or to the gym or on the beach or to work or wherever you need to go. You can just say, hey, come with me. Join me in this. And that makes them more personal. And whenever I'm doing psychic work, when I do readings for people, I always start with a prayer. I just always do. It's just like I brush my teeth in the morning. I don't go out the door without brushing my teeth. I don't start a psychic reading without saying a prayer because I want only the highest and best to come through. And I want that for you too. So we'll be talking a little bit about prayer, using prayer as a way of lifting our vibration and creating sacred space. Another way to really strengthen your connection with your guides is to ask their name. And you know how sometimes you meet many, many, many people, but you don't remember their name. And then there's somebody you meet and you just remember their name. And the next time you see them, it could be 6 months from now, but you remember their name. It's because you have a special psychic connection with that person. And there's something that's getting worked out with them. And that's how it is with your guides. When you really ask your guides their name, and it might be kind of an unusual name because some of them are galactic guides who are not from this dimension. They might be from another era where it's, some of the regular names we have now, like Summer or David or whatever, they're not as common in other times. So to ask your guide's name, and to do that when you go deep in meditation, we'll be talking about how to do that. You go deep into meditation and you ask your guide, what is your name? And then when you get the name, it'll either be a full name, or it might be the first letter of a name, or you might get a feeling with it. And let's say you get the name, say you get a really cheery feeling, like a really happy feeling, and then you see the red color like a cherry. And you're not exactly sure what the name is, but you have this vision of red like a cherry and a cheery feeling. And it might be that their name is Sherry. So it doesn't have to be a complicated name either. Some people are like, oh, I want a really high-level guide with a really advanced name. Some of the most amazing guides, I have this one friend who's one of his guides is Betty, and she was she worked as a waitress at a truck stop. I think it was Louisiana in her last lifetime. And she's a wonderful guide and helps him with all kinds of practical issues. So it doesn't have to be a fancy name either. This prayer of protection that I received from my channeling teacher, Ann Cataldo, that was, I guess, back in 1988. It's a very powerful prayer, the one that I use, and I will say it for you, but I want you to know that you can make up your own prayer of protection. And remember, love is the most powerful force in the universe. And when there's a strong shielding and light of love around you and in you, nothing but love can come to you and nothing but love can be here. And that's the vibration that we want to start all of our psychic work from a place of love. So the four main points about a prayer of protection is that you want to first call on assistance from higher beings of light, and that can be from your higher self rather than your own personal self, who has sort of, your own self has certain agendas and biases and beliefs and those types of things. Just because you're human, that's okay. But you want to call on that higher part of yourself, or the higher beings of light. You want to enter into a place of unconditional love. So when I'm doing a reading with someone, if I feel that I'm not in that place, I don't start the reading. I stop and I go back in my heart. I'll give you an example. One time a fella came to me and he had just finished smoking a cigarette, like right outside my door. And he just reeked of cigarette smoke, and it was a little bit repulsive to me. And I had to really get into a place of love before I could do the best reading I could do for this individual. And so I took a little extra time to breathe deep and to clear and to ground and to get into a place of love. And I always like to start with a rainbow bridge from my heart to their heart. So you always want to start from a place of love. And I always think of love as acceptance, but there was a part of me that just needed to get beyond the judging mind. Our guides are already there. So if you're ever doing a reading and you feel anything other than love, you're probably not connected high enough. Okay, so then we recite the prayer, and it's, again, I call it the prayer of protection, which I'm going to do for you. And that's about lifting beyond earth. I talked about that a little bit, the hawk's perspective, going up higher, getting out of the personal realm. And then the final aspect of the prayer of protection is to ask to be a channel, to ask to bring forth love, light, truth, healing, and blessing. Love, light, truth, healing, and blessing. So now I'm going to say the prayer for you, and it goes like this. Beloved Mother, Father God, Infinite Spirit, we come to you in love. We ask to be filled, surrounded, and protected by the light of the Holy Spirit. We ask to lift beyond earth into areas of absolute truth. We ask that that which is most needed by these souls be brought forth in this time. We ask to be clear channels for God's love, light, truth, healing, and blessing. We stand believing. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit. So that's the prayer that I work with and that I've used with many, 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 many students over since 1989. That can work for you as well. I put this big ear up there because if you're not listening to your friends, to your children, to your neighbors, you're probably not going to be able to listen to your guides and your higher self. You can't separate one part of your life and say, oh, now I'm going to listen, when you haven't been listening in other ways. So I'm going to encourage you, as part of your homework this week, is to really open your ears and open your heart and listen. I like to call it listening between the words. What is the feeling between the words? What's really going on with that person, being incredibly present. And, you know, there's many different trainings in active listening, nonverbal communication, things of that nature. I just want you to listen with your heart. And when your heart is listening, there's no hurrying, there's no rushing, there's a presence. And when you listen that way, you feel with your whole body and you receive information. And that's the best psychics are those that can listen. And again, not just when they're doing readings, but in their day-to-day life. So there's many different ways of receiving information, and I want to refer you to Doreen Virtue's book, Divine Guidance. That's an excellent reference manual. The main book that we're using for this class, we're going to be taking information and meditations from Opening to Channel, but Doreen Virtue has this book, and it talks about the four different styles of receiving information. And auditory, clairaudient, which means clear hearing. This is this is one of my strengths, is clear hearing. So when I receive messages, the words just start to flow. They just come right in. When I do a guided meditation with you, the words, it's as though they're whispered into my ear first, and then I say them to you. So that's one form. Each of us has a strength. When I used to teach children, I would see with children, some kids are very kinesthetic and they would want to do modeling and finger painting, and other children are much more visual and they would rather do things where they're really looking at the board and learning the sounds, learning how to read from the board rather than with their bodies. So just to know that they're all fine, and whatever area that you're weakest in, that would be the area that it would want to develop. If you're a very visual person but you're not auditory, then you'd want to work on that listening more, and vice versa. Again, the clairvoyant, these are the people who usually remember their dreams. They dream in color. They can remember 3 or 4 dreams a night, and they're very, very visual. You can say to them, do you remember what I wore to this event? And they'll say, oh, I remember exactly what you wore. They're great eyewitnesses. That's one of their strengths. Usually their homes are very beautiful because they are very visual. They take in the beauty around them. So that may be one of your gifts, and that may be a way that you can receive information from your divine higher self. Kinesthetic, those are the people, a lot of massage therapists are kinesthetic. They're very, they receive through their whole body that information. They feel it with with that sense of them. Those are the people that usually they can't wear any kind of itchy clothes, or even polyester. They can't wear that because it's too constrictive to them. They feel with their bodies, and their bodies have to breathe. And claircognizant, and that is clear knowing, and that's where, boom, the thought is there. The whole thought comes as a whole piece with information, and you don't know where it came. It just suddenly arrives, and it's there. And these are the people who all of a sudden go, I know, I have to make this investment, and I have to make it now. I have to go there, and I have to do this now. There's this sense of just knowing, and it's all these other forces that we already talked about, the guides, the ascended master, your angels, they're all working with you, and some people receive information better just in a block of information like that. So there are some fears associated with psychic development and channeling, and I just want to review them just briefly, because as I've worked with people over the years, I have seen many, many, many people overcome things that were bothering them for a long time. Some of these fears, for example, the fear of not having the gift. They say, well, if I'm not a 4th generation psychic, does that mean that I don't have the gift and I'm not going to be able to develop it? No, that is not true. Think about it. You see people in Hollywood that are actors and actresses. Their parents were not actors and actresses. They just developed that gift. Or artists or musicians, poets, writers, all kinds of people. The gift, each individual chooses their particular gift for that lifetime. And I believe that we all have special gifts. We're all psychic. And it's a matter of really developing that ability, just like we can all learn to ride a bicycle, given that we have the limbs to do it. So we can all learn to develop our ability to be psychic as well. And it may come in different degrees for different people. Not everyone will be a verbal channel. Some people will do healing. Some people will just receive impressions and energy that comes through. It will express, your psychic gift will express itself differently for different people, and that's okay. The fear of not being able to let go and trust. Okay, I'm going to use an example. I had 4 babies born naturally. You talk about letting go and trusting. I can't imagine a bigger assignment than that. It's really kind of similar in a way when you're bringing through psychic information, because the more you hold and you're tight, the less you're open for that information to flow. So it's about opening, relaxing, and surrendering and trusting. So if you're an individual who has difficulty trusting in your life in general, and some people just are based on their childhood origins or their experiences that have happened, maybe they've been battered and bruised by life some, one of the first things that I would recommend that you work on is learning to trust. And we're going to learn how to trust yourself, trust your guidance, trust others, trust me in this channeling process, and trust your guides. It's a lot of trust. Trust is really the foundation of opening to psychic intuition and receiving this information. And thank you for trusting me in this moment to be your teacher. So the fear of the personal ego or bias is getting in the way of the message. And usually connected with that is the fear is, what if I give somebody a message and they make a really important decision based on that information, and then something bad happens and they get mad at me? One of the things that I've learned is when we're really connected, there's no praise and no blame. So if you happen to give somebody a message that's profound and they make a decision and all kinds of incredible things unfold, you don't get the praise. And if you happen to give a message and something happens and that person's not liking what you said, you don't get the blame. the feeling that I want for you to have is that you are like an incredible divine telephone, that you're so finely tuned that you're opening, that the information from their higher self, your higher self comes through as pure as it possibly can. Just like having a clear pipe, it's going to come through clear. That's your job, is to be the clearest vehicle and vessel that you can be. If it's a dirty pipe, it's going to pick up the debris along the way, and yeah, it's going to be dirty water. It's not going to be clean. But if it's a clear pipe, and that's what we're doing with meditating, with positive thoughts, with walking on the earth every day, and getting our temples ready and getting our thoughts ready. So when you're doing that from the most pure, humble, open, loving space that you can, don't worry about that. You will have already set your biases aside. And one of the ways to know whether your biases are set aside is if it's any tone of judging in anything that you're bringing forth, we know that's not from the highest guides, because they don't judge. They do not judge anything. So just watch for that, and then you can work with it. We all have biases, and sometimes we just have to be aware. For example, the guy with the smoking, I had a definite bias against him. It didn't mean that I could suddenly make it go away, but I could transmute it. I could neutralize my bias to get past it. The thought box. I love this little exercise. So we're going to just do a little exercise for a minute. So the thought box is great to use in meditation and when you're preparing yourself to receive messages, because a lot of times we're very busy from the day, or we have children that we're tending to, or responsibilities that we're going to be doing after. So this little box, and this is a pretty box with a bow. You can make your box any way that you like, but what I'd like you to do is just for a moment, I want you to shut your eyes, and I want you to picture where you're sitting, that there's a box either under your chair, or it could be behind your chair. If you're sitting on the floor, it could be behind you. And it could be the most ornate, fancy box with jewels all over it. It could be a very simple little wooden box, however you would like it. But this is your thought box. And I want you to just open the lid, picture opening the lid, and then picture all the thoughts, all the extraneous thoughts about your body, your emotions, anything. Just put them in the box. And then close the lid and give it a little tap and say, okay, thoughts, you're in the box for now, and I'm going to let you go. And when it's time, I'll retrieve you when I have time to deal with you and to handle the responsibilities that you are. But for now, this is your time. This is your time to connect with your divine higher self. Okay. Here is another tool. I like to give you a few tools to take with you today. And I call this the blank white board. It used to be a chalkboard years ago, but now it's just a blank white board. So I want you to imagine that you're clearing your mind, letting go, clearing and letting go. And you can even pretend your hand is like the eraser, clearing the board, clearing all the thoughts. Okay, and there might, sometimes you have to erase it even more, spray a little, okay, clean, clean, clear, clear, nice clear board. Okay, now in your third eye area, right up there, I want you to imagine your nice white board. So clear. And I want you to ask your higher self to give you one word to go on the board. What does your higher self want you to do more of? There's one thing that your higher self actually really wants you to do more of so that you can connect with them more. There's one thing that's really going to help you. It's going to accelerate your process. So just see one of the markers, and it can be red, green, black, or blue. Just see one of the markers and see it magically get up and write on it. And what does it say? And it should just be one word. Did you get it? Okay, I got mine. Okay, I got my word. Hoping, oh good, we've got some people typing their words. Good, we have connection. That's beautiful, yes. So that's what I'd like you to work on before the next class. That one word that you received, that's a message from your higher self. See how simple it is? You're psychic already. There are many different types of channeling. I happen to be a semi-conscious trance channel, but there are also conscious channels. For example, John Edward, who has a TV show, he stands in front of an audience and looks in the distance and speaks very consciously. He's aware of everything that he's saying, and he can recall it later. I did get to interview him, and it was a wonderful interview, a very amazing man. Then there's semi-conscious trance channel, which is the type of channeling that I do, where for me, I go into a deep meditative state, my brain waves change, and I actually don't remember the sessions afterwards. They're sort of like a dream where if you don't write them down, they just disappear. Then there's the deep trance channel. Edgar Casey's a great example of a deep trance channel, where he lays down and somebody helps to facilitate him going into a deep state, almost like a sleep state. And then they ask questions, and then his guides come through from that sleep state. I've personally only met one of those types of channels in my entire life. I think it's kind of cool. They just get to go to sleep and do messages. And actually, her husband facilitated her. So one of the things is we want to prepare the space when we're going to channel. We want to actually create what I call, again, sacred space. We want to heighten. The reason that we do this, we heighten one's intention. We say, well, it's out of our ordinary everyday. We are moving into a place of more connection. It also gives us better focus. If there's a lot of clutter around us, clutter outside, clutter inside. So we want to clear the space as much as possible. And we want to elevate the sacredness of the moment. So there are many different ways of doing that. You can light a candle. You can set up a special altar. Here's a picture of a woman, and she's in a very Zen-like place. For people who have very, very busy lives, that might be the best thing that you could do, is to have a quiet little place. This one woman, she had a toddler at the time, I think maybe 2 years old. And she really needed a quiet place to meditate, this student of mine. And she used to set up the little tent. You know how kids would play and you'd put their toys in there? She would go in the tent. She'd put a video on for her baby. And then she would go in the tent and meditate. And that was her quiet space. So you'll need to find, what is your quiet space? What does it look like? Part of opening to our psychic messages is preparing our body and getting strong, just as if you were going to go to the gym and you had a marathon you were going to run. The more energy that we're bringing in from these other realms, what I call the invisible realms, the more we want to prepare ourselves. So one of the ways that I suggest is to walk every day. Now, not everybody can walk every day. You may be living in a place where the weather is inclement. You may have some sort of physical limitation of some sort, but walking every day or doing yoga could also be a way that you're opening your body, you're getting grounded. The earth has a very peaceful vibration. So when you walk every day, you're sort of letting go of your thoughts, getting present in your body and relaxing. So I would like you, as part of your practice in opening, is to walk every day or do yoga. I did suggest to you to have a journal, and I'd like you to take time to write in your journal every day. You can, keep it by your bedside. Write when you wake up. You could write your dreams. You could write messages that you received during the day. You could write last thing before you go to bed what you want to focus on in your sleep, and messages as you're meditating as well. So take time to write. The process of opening up psychically, it works on many different levels. You don't just open up your higher chakras without some sort of integration and balancing happening with all the other chakras. So you'll notice changes happening in your life. I've seen many, many people make tremendous changes in their lives when they start really listening to their inner guidance. Getting out of jobs that they're not happy in, getting into better relationships, changing their diet, their health, things of that nature. You want to prepare your spirit. And one of the ways that you prepare your spirit is you start with prayer. And I'm just going to sip of water. Prayer is kind of an old-fashioned way. I heard it said once, when you pray, you talk to God, and when you meditate, you listen to God, or universal force, or spirit, or whatever that is for you. For me, it's about creating that sacred space. This is, you go to a restaurant to eat, and you come to the altar to pray. That's how we feed ourselves spiritually. So just start with a prayer, and you can work with writing your own prayer or working with that prayer that I gave you. Silent meditation with music is really helpful. the vibration of music can be very, very calming, and it can actually carry you into a very deep and peaceful place. You want to center and call on your guides, who again, they're always there in the invisible realm, and do the channeling meditation. Uh, I do have a channeling meditation on my website. I have 3 different meditations. One is 10 minutes, one is 20, and one is 30. And I would recommend that you do the 30-minute channeling meditation if you could. You want to prepare your emotions and have fun and don't take yourself too seriously. Look at this baby. This baby is so present. Are you that present in your life? Are you that excited about your life? If you're not that excited about your life, spend a little more time going inside and reconnecting with your divine higher self, because your higher self wants you to be like that, really happy. The grounding cord, this is a wonderful tool, and the reason we use a grounding cord when we're opening up to our psychic abilities, if you can get the sense of a really large oak tree, and some of you where you live, you may have very large oak trees, but the tree has a very big top part with all the leaves and the branches. But without having strong roots going down, it can easily fall. So the sense that we have when we're opening up the upper chakras, we want to be really grounded and rooted in our body so that we can assimilate that energy, so that it can synchronize and flow with us. So the grounding cord, you can visualize it in many different ways. I would like you now to just envision from your hip area. So if your body is like a tree trunk, from your hip area, imagine that you have a tree trunk going down to the very center of the earth. And at the center of the earth, it's a really long grounding cord, and it just keeps growing and growing and going to the center of the earth. I like to picture a big, huge crystal. You can picture whatever you want at the center of the earth, but there's this feeling of safety, protection, strength, peace. And then with this grounding cord, just like the roots of a tree go down and they bring up water to the trunk and to the leaves, I want you to feel yourself sending your grounding cord down and then connecting with that big crystal and then bringing it all the way up, that root all the way up, right into your belly and then into your heart and then into your head. And then say to yourself, I am rooted and grounded. I am rooted and grounded. And there's that feeling of a tree that's not rooted well, a big wind comes, boom, it's knocked over. Or a person who's not rooted and grounded in themselves, they tend to make decisions before they really get clear body guidance to do it. They're very kind of like a leaf blowing in the wind, blowing here, blowing there, but they're not really centered. You can feel it in a person's energy. So you want to just let yourself be rooted and grounded, rooted and grounded. And you'll get better psychic information. You'll hear it better because you'll be in your body. This infinity loop, if you take nothing else out of anything I say today, please take this exercise with you because this will help you in your life. The figure 8. Just a simple infinity loop. Up and around and down. Picture your heart at the center of this figure 8. And then envision a color in your heart. And this color is going to go all the way up and connect up with a big, huge treasure chest, if you would, of love up above in the infinite universe. There's a whole supply of infinite love, and you get to connect with it right now. So as you connect with that infinite love, you see that cord, the other side of the 8, coming down and coming into your heart and filling your heart, just spreading throughout your whole heart, whatever color that love was. And then bring that love down and through your right hip go down to the center of the earth. Again, notice we're going to the center of the earth for rootedness and groundedness. Connect with that rooted and grounded and still, peaceful, protected place down below. And then bring a different color from that place of the center of the earth of energy up. This is the rooted and grounded and protected energy up into your heart. And now let that color spread throughout your whole body. And now, maybe some of you remember my brothers had a Hot Wheels car. It would go around a track, sort of like that number 8. Feel the energy run. So you're going to run the energy from your heart all the way up to infinite love. Bring that love down into your heart. Bring it down to the center of the earth, the bottom of the 8. Connect with the rooted and grounded energy. Bring that up back into your heart. And now let's run it 3 times up. I'm one with all the love in the universe. And I am rooted and grounded. Again, up. I am one with all the love in the universe. Bring it in, and I am rooted. Pulling that earth energy up and grounded. And one more time, I am one with all the love in the universe. Bringing that love in, bringing it down, connecting with that infinite, peaceful groundedness, and I am rooted and grounded. Now you can use your grounding cord to let go of any energy that, remember the tree root or the bottom of this infinity loop. If there's any energy that feels a little bit dissident or scattered or tired, or you can use that grounding cord and send it down just like you would flush a toilet and it would go down. You can do that with your grounding cord. If you have a headache, you can work with letting that energy go down the grounding cord and into the earth and getting neutralized, and then bringing that light from above and filling your heart. Okay, that's a really good tool. One of the places I like to do this tool best is when I'm walking outside, because the sky is so big, and I connect way, way high with infinite love, universal love, and then walking on the earth is also very peaceful. So if you haven't already created a sacred space for yourself in your house, I want to invite you to do that this week before our class next week. And these are some of the items that you'll want to put in it: the candle, flower, an inspirational picture, a spritz of rose, lavender, or sage. This is for clearing the energy, clearing out energetics. If it's in your office, you want to get rid of that office feeling. If it's in your bedroom, you want it to have more of a, instead of a sleeping energy, you want it to be more of a concentrated, focused energy of meditation. And again, this is your special place. This isn't a place that energetically is shared with someone else. So if you have an easy chair that you like to sit in and meditate, but your husband also sits in that chair and watches TV, that's not the spot. You need to find a place that's just for you. And some people tell me, oh, there's nowhere in my house. Okay, if you can, go outside, find a place. But find your own special place where your energy will go. Really, when you're going to be going deep inside in meditation, you want to prepare your space. So you want to check your environment. Is the door closed? Is it too breezy? Do you need to clear energetically any smells or anything at all, to check your environment? Do you feel really safe? Because if you feel really safe, your phone is turned off, you know nobody's going to be knocking on your door, you can relax more and you can go inside more. I used to, when I was raising my 4 children and I was meditating, I would light a candle and I would put my special prayer shawl on, and when they saw that, they knew, don't bother mommy. They knew that was my special time. And even when they were very little, because they were raised with this, they would come and sit in my lap and quietly sit while I did my alternate nostril breathing or my, whatever I was doing. They would just quietly come and sit in my lap. So even children can learn about sacred space. And what a blessing to teach them about the quiet and about that internal place. A gift. It's a gift you're giving them. So I encourage you to sit straight, and one of the ways to do that is to picture sort of little string tied on top of your head, and it pulls your spine nice and straight. Sometimes we get sort of a little lazy. We want to pull the spine, shoulders back, rib cage up, and in that way the energy will move much easier up and down your spine. You'll be able to access your intuition better just by sitting up straight. When you're not, if you think about it, when you're crunching down, you're closing your heart and you're not feeling your gut. Your heart and your gut, those are 2 of your biggest places where you get your inspiration, where your guidance is. But if you're closing it off, you're not going to feel it. So pay attention to how you're sitting. Some people like to sit cross-legged on the floor. That's a wonderful way to meditate, where your spine is nice and straight as well. Okay, here's a fun psychic tool. I call this the traffic light. Just mix it up a little, get you involved. The traffic light. So right at the top, stop. Yellow, maybe, use caution, and green is go. Okay, can you remember red at the top, yellow in the middle, and green at the bottom? So we often have questions, and sometimes people go round and round and round with questions. They waste a lot of energy on questions. So this is a very quick tool, and for those that are visual, this is going to be easier for you than if you're auditory, and just keep that in mind. That's okay. Or if you're kinesthetic, this may not be the tool for you. But what I'm going to be teaching in the different classes is different tools that will be easier for each of the different types of learning. So I'd like you to close your eyes for a minute. And you may have an issue that you've been kind of dealing with, or you may know somebody with an issue that you would like to help to get some guidance. This is somebody, generally a yes or no question. It doesn't have to be a big, it doesn't have to be a big important question. It can be a very simple question that you need to know. And what I'd like you to do is to do the whiteboard first, clear the mind. Remember how we cleared the mind? Sit up straight. Picture yourself nice and straight. Nice and straight. Feel the light in your heart. Remember we connected with universal light and love. Feel your guardian angel, your higher self, standing behind you, wanting only the very, very, very best for you. And then when I'm asking questions, I like to ask them to preface them with saying, is it in my highest and best interest too? So right now, think of an issue that you're having or a topic, or with somebody else that you'd like to offer them some insight. And then ask the question, and then just see which light. You know how when you're driving down the road, you don't know what the light's going to be ahead? Pretend you can't see the light. You're going to be coming around the bend, and the light's going to be the answer. Okay. So is it in my highest and best interest to ask the question? And then see the light. And this is quick. Intuition is very, very quick. Very quick. Don't wait. Don't think about it. Intuition is not a thinking process. Okay, did you get your answer? I got mine. Lit up really bright. All right, good. So that's just a little tool that you can employ in your life, and trust that. Oh, let me just go back. If you got yellow, basically what that means is sometimes you need more information. Sometimes you need to reword the question. You haven't worded it quite right, that there's a clear yes or no, and your guides are trying to give you an answer, but they're sort of, maybe it's a time sensitive issue, or maybe, you know, if somebody says, well, should I buy this car? It might not be that car. It might be a car sort of like it, and they want to give more information. So pay attention. If you did get yellow, you might need to ask more questions till you get a clear yes or no. Okay? Getting a sign from your guide. This is an actual physical sensation of your guide or higher self. For example, when I started channeling in 1988, my guide, my initial guide, was so strong. The energy was so powerful, and I felt in my left ear like it felt like an earache. There was this, it would be a tingling, and then it would be a pressure, and then it would actually feel like an earache. And I actually even went to the doctor at one point just to check to make sure everything was okay. And it turns out it was me adjusting to my guide's energy. Now, had I known then, I could have asked my guide to back up a little so it wasn't quite so strong. It doesn't have to be anything like that at all. But that was back in 1988. There wasn't a lot of information out about channeling. Now we know that you can, if anything feels too strong, you can simply ask your guide to back up and make something a little more subtle. Usually, though, it's the other way, where people want to get a stronger side. They want to get a really powerful feeling in their body. So again, that's why we want to be in tune with our body, so we can feel when we're getting a sign. If you're not in touch with your body, it's going to be very difficult for you to feel the sign that your guide is giving you. It takes a tremendous amount of energy for the invisible beings of light who want to help to get through to this dimension and actually have you feel a brush on your head, or, you know, get chills on your body, or pressure in your ear, or ringing, or to smell a scent. Those are all kind of physical sensations. So one of the things that I'd like you to do this week is to work with getting a sign from your guide when you're in that very deep place of meditation, and to actually ask that you feel their presence in your body. So the first thing that you want to do is scan your own body. And I like to picture a little flashlight. This is a really special little flashlight. And I turn it on, and it starts in my head. And I look all around my head, and I see if there's any tightness. And I look in my neck, and I look in my shoulders, and my chest, and my waist, and all the way down to my hips, my legs, my feet. And I'm just scanning my body. And I'm not changing anything, although sometimes I may need to change something if I have a pain in the arm or tightness in my head or tiredness in my eyes. I may need to send light to that area. But first, I just want to be aware of what's happening in my body so that I can pay attention when I get a sign, and I'll know. So first, I call it the body scan. So you're scanning your body with your little invisible flashlight. So just do a quick scan. Feel the inside of your body. We're so conditioned to feeling the outside, but I want you to feel the inside. Paying attention. Okay. All the way down to your feet. And now if there's anywhere that there's any tension, just bring extra light in there, just like you were turning up you know how dimmer switches, you can make it brighter. Turn up the light inside and let yourself be bathed in that light to clear away any darkness or energy of the cells not vibrating at the perfect frequency. Okay? And then you're in your light body and you can feel that sign. It's a wonderful, exciting feeling when you feel your guide or your higher self. Signs from guides, sometimes it comes as music. Sometimes it comes as a feeling of pressure. Might come as a color. Might come as even it could be something kinesthetic where you start rocking. It's almost like you feel your guides rocking you back and forth. It can come in a number of ways. This one woman, I remember her hands felt very, very big. All of a sudden, when her guide would come in, her hands felt huge. And it was all that healing light and energy and love coming through. So work with your guides. Again, if it's not a strong enough sign, then you can ask them to make it stronger. So just want to review that when we're getting psychic information, we want to get clear of all of our biases or prejudices that we may have. And some of these are going to be very, very apparent, and others of these are not. So you want to get into what I call that open, neutral place. So the way that you'll know is in yogic philosophy, they talk about attachment and aversion. Attachment and aversion. So if you have an attachment to something, you have an expectation of it being a certain way. And if you have an aversion, it's not that way, so you don't want to be around it. There's this feeling of almost a repulsion, like, no, I don't want to be around that. I'm like that with violent TV shows. I have an aversion to violent TV shows. It's okay. I'm all right with that. I know that's my bias. I like to watch romantic comedies. So we each have attachments and aversions, but we have to be aware of them. That's the most important thing, is when you're opening to being psychic, when you can be aware of what your own prejudices are. And you also want to let go of any desired outcomes or expectations. If you have a certain way that you want something to happen, and I remember John Edwards saying in the interview I did with him, you know, people come to him all the time, hundreds and hundreds of people, and they all have an idea of who they want to be the other person on the other side. And so if they're waiting for their uncle and all of a sudden their great-grandmother comes in, they're disappointed. I mean, I think they should feel lucky that at least their great-grandmother came in, right? But they get disappointed because they had an expectation of what was going to happen. So we want to let go of any desired outcomes when we're receiving information. Again, we want to pay close attention to our body cues, and that's being in your body, being grounded, feeling your body. And it's a matter of shifting the focus from the external to the internal. And water, drinking lots of water. So the external is going on around you all the time. One of the goals that I have for individuals who complete the whole 20 classes is that they can use their psychic ability anywhere. You could be sitting on a bus in New York City and tune in to psychic information, and nothing's going to bother you because you're that connected that you're not needing things in your external world to be a certain way. We start out with creating psychic space, but ultimately we want this vehicle, this body vehicle, is your tool, and you will be able to get more and more in tune with it. This is from a dear friend of mine, Sheridan Haley, and she actually typed up body cues. She works as a therapist, and she's here on Maui. And these are some cues from her. I'm going to go through them kind of quickly because I want to make sure that we have time for the meditation. So channeling, this is our vehicle and our tool, just like a makeup artist would have her makeup that she would use, or a lumberjack would have his saw or chainsaw or something. We all have our tools to use, but when you're a psychic, your tool is your body. Granted, there are pendulums and cards and divination rods and all of those extra tools, and I will have a class specifically devoted to those kinds of things, but your body is your tool, and so you want it to be in prime condition. And no, you don't have to be super athlete or super yogi, but you have to be in tune with your body, because that's where you will be receiving the messages from. So when you're feeling your energy, you want to look for signs. And if you can think of energy as movement and flow, movement and flow. So if anything's constant and there's no change, it's fixed. So looking for movement and flow. So if you're doing a session with somebody and all of a sudden you're feeling a sort of a throbbing in your right knee, and that throbbing in your right knee was not there before, it's not yours. That's coming from that other person, and your guides and their guides are using your body and indicating to you that this is what's going on. Energy, when it's moving and opening, has movement again, so we want to just keep experiencing that, paying attention to where you're feeling energy in your body. And psychic information generally comes in from the higher chakras up above and gets integrated in the body. But you've all always heard of gut feeling, my gut feeling. Sometimes when something's going on and it just doesn't feel right, all of a sudden you feel kind of nauseous, you feel yucky. Those are body cues. Those are all part of body cues, to paying attention to the sensations. There's an actual pulse with energy. People like acupuncturists, they feel your arm, they feel for the pulse, the different, Ayurveda, they feel for the pulse, the energy. That's all giving information. And there's a pulse of energy with psychic information too. And usually the way that you can feel it is if something's really positive and a yes, it feels like an opening. And if something's really not a good, positive, healthy choice, there's a feeling of closing. I have a friend, Terry Mister, who works with dowsing rods and divination. She has a technique called transformational truth technique, and she measures people's bodies, auras, and energy. And when their energy is saying no, their field actually draws into themselves and gets very, very small instead of expanded. So when energy is moving up, remember we talked about how it has movement and location and a pulse. It is easily felt in the fingertips and the third eye and the forehead. So these are places. The pineal gland is behind the third eye. Again, in yoga, they talk about Agya chakra, that third eye chakra, that place of focus. We want to feel that. And a lot of times you can close your eyes and you can actually see a purple light vibrating and pulsating. So work with that. Feel that energy. And the fingertips, I like to think of the hands as being connected to the heart. And when we open our hearts, our hand chakras open and we're able to sense more energy. Some people that are working with getting psychic information, it helps them to hold somebody's hand, or to hold an object, or to hold a picture of somebody, to actually get the energy through their hands. Opening up may feel different for different people, but there's often sensations of tingling or aliveness. So when you're feeling that, that's opening, and that's what we want to feel. We may have deeper breath. I know when I channel, that's one of the reasons I never wear tight clothing when I channel, because when I bring in this larger energy, it feels as though I get bigger and I have to have more room, and I can't have any clothing that's going to restrict, no tight belts or anything of that nature. I have to be able to breathe in the energy. So it might feel like you're breathing in that energy of your divine higher self, creating more space. And then we want to also pay attention to our specific muscles and letting energy move through there as well. So here's some examples of how you might feel upon opening. Increased tingling or aliveness, increase in sensations, the breath, And then specific muscles opening and softening. Usually, I'm going to have to say, it's usually with the belly. You know, there's in Buddhist philosophy, they talk about the soft belly. You know, you see the pictures of the Buddha with big, round, soft belly. Soft belly, soft belly. That's where that intuition, that openness comes. It's okay to have soft belly. If you look at how a baby breathes, babies breathe through their bellies. They automatically, you lay them down, you watch how they breathe. They're not breathing just through their noses. It's going all the way down into their bellies. It's a softening and opening. So sometimes in life we get a little guarded, but when we're doing psychic work, it's about letting the guard down, being soft and open. And sometimes there is an actual feeling of warmth, energy of warmth. People tell me they feel that warmth on their head or their hands or their heart. Sometimes their face, they might feel like a little hand is right there. So again, we just want to be aware of our bodies all the way from the top of our heads to the tips of our toes. These are our vehicles. And just like you would, if you were an artist, you'd want to buy the finest paintbrushes with the most beautiful hairs so that you could paint the most incredible paintings. So it is when we're doing psychic work with our bodies. So if there are a few things that might get in the way in terms of receiving information, and you can work with them. So you might want to, if there's body pains that you're experiencing, do a little stretching, opening up that way, and calming, bringing light in the area first. And we kind of talked about that with the energy moving in. So the senses, the inner vision, that's where you would see, again, as we said, through the colors and images. The inner sounds. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I started channeling, my guide started knocking, and it was, oh no, it didn't sound like that. It was like that. Just like somebody's here. It was a loud knocking, like I thought somebody was at the door. And so you may have a different experience of that, but oftentimes our guides will give us a little sort of physical sound so that you know that they're there. In our smells, this is one of the oldest senses, is the smell. That's usually the last sense to go as well. You may smell gardenias or sandalwood, or, you know, if your guide is from India, you may have a little scent of sandalwood that comes to you. So we're going to be getting some messages through the senses, through the inner vision and the sound and the inner touch as well, that feeling. So the very first thing, again, is to get grounded in your body. We're going to go ahead and do a little meditation. I want you, each and every one of you, to know how beautiful and valuable you are, and that you deserve to receive insightful, clear information, and to trust that you have invisible help available to you. So get comfortable. We're going to do a guided meditation. I like to put a little music on. It helps me to relax. You might hear a few birds in the background because I am in Maui and we have many birds who like to sing. So we're just going to invite them to join us in this meditation. You're already in a quiet place. So right now, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do other than to just be right here, right now. Every sound that you hear can help carry you deeper and deeper inside. We each have within us a well of infinite peace, a well of infinite light and love. When we meditate, we dip our ladles into that well and we drink of it, and it nourishes us. So just for a moment, picture in your heart this beautiful big wishing well. It's an amazing well. It's built very well. See what it looks like. And imagine that you're standing right over the well and you're kind of looking down into it. And you can make a wish. right now, let yourself make the wish to get more connected to your guides, to your higher self, to your angels and archangels. And as you stand at the edge of the wishing well, an incredible peace comes over you. You breathe it in all the way to your feet. You know, just as you wished, you threw your little wish down into the wishing well, that already your guides heard your prayer. Already they're here to greet you and to meet you again. For oftentimes we've worked with these divine parts of our being or divine helpers in other dimensions many, many, many times. So I'd like you to just walk away from the well and let yourself walk down a little path. And as you walk down this little path, there's a very special place that your higher self knows that you like to go to. Every time you go to this place, and it can be a place that you remember from your life, or it can be a place that you've seen in a movie or a book, but this is a special place for you to go and to relax and to connect. It can be a place in nature, or it can be an indoor temple. It can be a garden or special room. But when you get there, there's this feeling of, I can let go. There's nothing I have to do other than to just be. So let yourself sit down in your special place and look around and see what it looks like. This is a gift from your higher self, this inner sanctuary. This beautiful inner sanctuary, a place to just be. Let your body become very still and allow your breathing to relax. I'd like you to bring your attention and your focus to your third eye, that area right between your two eyes, and just focus on the light up there. You are a being of light. You are a being of love. You are one with all the love in the universe, and you are rooted and grounded. You've been waiting a long time for this special connection. Your journey alone is over now. You're ready to ask for help. You're ready to reach out. So I want you to envision that there's a little knob on your heart. You know how fans have knobs and you can turn them up or down. I want you to turn the knob up for readiness to receive more connection with your guides. Just picture that knob going up all the way to 10. Feel it go all the way up, and then feel your heart open even more. Now feel a spaciousness in your body, an openness. You might even want to picture that your body is like a big, huge, beautiful vase. Picture the prettiest vase that you can imagine and let yourself be like that vase right now. See what color vase you would be. Nice and open. Receptive. Strong and stable. And let your heart energy fill the whole interior of that vase. I like to picture the heart energy as a bright pink light, but it could be golden or white. Just feel yourself opening. Now from this place of openness, of being an open vehicle and receptacle, I'd like you to call on your one main guide that's going to be working with you in this class and in the classes to come. This is your main meditation guide, your main channeling guide, your main guide for psychic development and awareness. And I want you to allow the feeling of the vase to just open and just become space. Become this feeling of spaciousness, openness. Your guide, I'd like you to invite their energy to come to the top of the room, wherever you are. If you're outdoors, it's about 6 feet over your head. It may feel as though it's coming from other dimensions, interdimensionally traveling quickly to get here because you have just beckoned them. But in that moment, they arrive. They may have been waiting for you to open the door, just like when you knock on a door, you wait for the person to open it. And their energy is there, 6 feet over your head, just hovering over your head with love. And they're looking down upon you and feeling complete unconditional love for the being that you are right here, right now. And they're seeing all the perfection of you, the uniqueness of you. And you hear them say, thank you. Thank you for calling me to help you. For in helping you, it helps me and it helps others. It's a beautiful reciprocal process of energy. Now I'd like you to invite your guide's energy field to move about 1 foot over the top of your head. Right above your aura, right there, and just feel that energy. Just invite the energy of your main channeling intuitive guide to be right there, right above you. Now I'd like you to ask that guide to step right directly in front of you, about 3 feet in front of you, so that you can actually see how they would like you to see what they look like. And just take in their beauty, their beingness. Feel their energy being. Is this your higher self? Is it a particular guide? Is it an angel? Is it a loved one? Is it an archangel? Is it an ascended master? Is it somebody you've shared many, 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 many lifetimes with? This particular being is here specifically because you have called and you have opened the door to receive the highest and best. Now this being has a gift for you. Just put your hand out in front of you and allow them to put a small gift into your hands. And then hold it to your heart. And listen. Listen deeply inside to the message that comes with the gift. Really feel it. Really open. Open more. If you can't quite hear it, ask them to talk louder, to give you more information about this gift. And then I'd like you to put your hands together and bow. In India, they say bow namaste. The highest in me acknowledges and bows to the highest in you, and thank them. Now I'd like you to communicate with them that you would like a specific sign, that when they want to come into your field and give you information, that there's a specific sign in your physical body that you feel them, you feel their presence. So right now, I want you to open your heart, and I want their energy to actually blend and merge with yours. So before we had them up at 6 feet, then we had them at 1 foot, then we had them 3 feet in front. I want you to open your energy field and feel their energy in your body and feel what it feels like, because this is their sign for when they're going to come. Pay attention to your body. Do you feel a fullness anywhere? Do you feel a tingling? Do you feel a movement? Do you see a light? Do you hear a sound? Is there a certain sensation of opening? Is there a certain frequency? Is there a way that you feel that you want to move your body or adjust yourself? Pay attention. Pay close attention to what their energy feels, what their energy is like when it's merged with yours. This beloved being, this higher self guide that's here to help you. You may feel your hand move into a mudra. You may feel rocking again in your body. You may feel a brush on your arm or your head. You may feel something on your face or your heart, your hands. But feel this energy open. This is benevolent, loving, higher self energy. And just bask in it for a minute. Just bask in the energy of this particular being who you've contracted with to join you on this journey. Feeling the light. Now I'd like you to ask your guide or angelic self to move their energy out from your body and out in front of you. And feel the shift in how your energy feels when it's moved out. Feel that difference. Feel just your own energy in your own body, present and at peace. And just like the sound of that siren came and got very, very loud, and then it went and got soft, that's how the energy of our guides is. It can come and be very, very present and then move out and away. I want you to invite your guide to stand in front of you again. Picture them in front of you. And I'd like you to ask your guide, what can you do? What specifically can you do? What would they recommend for you in terms of tuning into their vibration and their frequency? Is there anything that you need to change in your day-to-day life at this point to tune into their energetic frequency and vibration a little bit better? Sometimes people need to get more sleep. Sometimes people need to get less sleep. Sometimes people need to exercise. Sometimes they need to exercise less. I mean, it can be very personal. But ask your guides right now, how can I better tune into you? What can I do? And see if a picture comes. Remember, with intuition, it's the very first picture or image or thought or word or sensation that comes, the very first. So see what you get. See, now I'm getting an image. They're like, oh, we want you to hang out in a hammock. So they want me to hang out more. What was yours? Because I know we all got different images. You know, some of you think that's really easy, but sometimes it's not so easy. That's why they're here to help us. All right. So now let your guide's energy go up to the top of the room. And then just wave goodbye. Let them go up and out of the room. Or if you're outdoors, let it just go up even higher. And let them know that you're going to be calling on them to work together with you in your psychic development channeling abilities. And in the meantime, you're just releasing their energy. And now I'd like you to send a grounding cord down to the center of the earth, feeling your feet on the floor, feeling where you're sitting. I always like to, after tuning into those dimensions and levels of being, put my fingertips together like this in front of my heart. And also putting my arms together like this. Can you see? One arm on top of the other and creating sort of a circuit of energy of love. And we want to give thanks. Thanks to our guides, to our invisible helpers, and thanks to ourselves for being here. So when we dissolve ourself, our personal self, it's sort of like when you put salt in water. The salt and the water are separate. You pour the salt in, that's the personal self, and suddenly it becomes salt water. When we're opening to psychic information, that's how we become. We don't hold to our personal self. So receiving intuitive guidance is easy when you open and let go. It's hard when you're tight and frustrated and rushing and have agendas. Don't worry about how you look to other people when you're meditating or when you're listening inside. If you have to shut your eyes for a minute before you make a decision, let yourself do that. Let yourself go to that internal realm rather than the external realm. And always be humble in connecting with your guides and your higher self. Remember, you want to tune yourself to the highest frequency guide available, and when you tune yourself to love, you automatically get the highest premium guides. Those are the premium guides, the highest frequency of love. And I want you to feel that you are protected and safe. I love this picture of Archangel Michael and that feeling of he's going to protect you. So Archangel Michael's a wonderful angel if you want to call on him to help you in your meditation and you're going within. You may have a special guide or angel that you like to work with in that form as well. So your guides will feel soothing, uplifting, and comforting. You may see a bright light and feel energetic warmth, and just open to that. Would like to just go over these books real quickly with you for you to use in your home study. This Opening to Channel How to Connect with Your Guides by Sania Roman and Dwayne Packer. That's actually my favorite book, and it's I'll show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like right here. It's a really good book with all kinds of exercises, and the thing I like about this book is it answers all those little questions, all those little teeny tiny questions that are like too numerous to even mention, but they're going to be answered in this book. So this is a great book to get. The next book is Divine Guidance. That's the one that has the intuitive, that quiz about what is your intuitive style. So that's also a very good book. You'll notice I have a dream book on here. Why do I have a dream book on a psychic development class? Because psychic information comes in symbols. Symbols are very important for learning. We're developing this whole new language of communication with our guides. If you could do at least 3 symbols a week this is a great dream book, Symbols for Self-Understanding by Betty Bethards. There's also the Magical Mystical something dream book. There's many dream books, but this is one I recommend. Body Signals by Robert Dubiel is very good for getting in touch with your body's cues for opening to psychic information. And then the Michael Handbook this is a channeled system of understanding, and it teaches about the soul's different levels of being. So these are some of the main books that have helped me that I want to share with you. And you may be guided by your angels and guides and teachers for a new book to come to you. You may suddenly receive an email or a text and somebody said, "Hi, I just read this book. You have to read it." You might want to read it. I mean, your angels are going to be working with you on getting all the material that you need. There's also this great DVD before we get to the chakra class, which is class 6. It's Illuminated Chakras, A Visionary Voyage into the Inner World, and excellent audio, visual, and lecture on the chakras. And then angel cards. There's lots of different decks of angel cards. This is my favorite by Doreen Virtue, and it's Healing with the Angels Oracle cards, and you can just shuffle them up and pull a card. But there's many, many different decks. See which deck calls to you. I don't like people to get card dependent. I have worked with many students who were card dependent, and I had to break them of that dependency because, again, what's our greatest tool? Right here. It's right under your skin. It's you. But all of these tools can help. So I do encourage you, if you don't have an angel deck of some sort, to get one, to work with it on a daily basis. Choose a card and work with that angel. And Sedona Journal Magazine, last week we did the article by Tara Sonora. That was from Sedona Journal. This is a whole magazine of material, all channeled information. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I would recommend that you get a subscription to that as well. So for homework today, if you could read that book, Opening to Channel, or at least portions of that book to get you going, and take the Divine Communication Style quiz from Doreen Virtue's book called Divine Guidance, and find a quiet place, a really, really special place. Do this. This is a gift for yourself. This is a gift for yourself. Find a special place and set up an altar. It can be very simple, but this is your special place. And then keep a notebook or a journal. And you can even do, now we have all these little digital recorders. You can record messages that way. You can use your iPhone anywhere. They have voice memo on your iPhone. I use that a lot. You can do that. You'll have messages that you can receive. And go ahead and go to my website, and there's those 3 meditations. And, try them all. But practice every day. Channeling, meditating, walking, drinking lots of water. So today we did learn some new psychic skills. Remember, you have your traffic light, and you have your whiteboard, and you have, I'm trying to think what else we did. We did the grounding cord and the infinity loop. Practice working with those. They're not going to work if you keep them in the bag and you don't take them out. You have to apply them. We did talk about preparing the body, mind, spirit, and emotions for receiving information. And we talked about the body cues. So really pay attention to your body this week. Treat your body well. Be tender with your body and tender with your heart. And notice how you're trusting your own intuition, how you're trusting other people, how you're trusting your guides, and how you're trusting yourself. All right. Thank you so much for participating in Class 2 of Liah Howard Psychic Development and Channeling. Have a blessed day.